there was this new proposal. This new proposal that's coming and presented to Hamas, saying that the Palestinian resistance needs to disarm. Israel wants to disarm everyone but them. And the movement refused. Now, this proposal came from Egypt. And there was a lot of talk, social media, people criticizing, saying Egypt is proposing to disarm Hamas. The Egyptians clarified later on that it's not our proposal, it's the proposal that's coming from Israel. As a matter of fact, we from our end, we do not want the Palestinian resistance to disarm. We are looking to get a solution, and we are presenting the Palestinians with the ideas that are being presented to us by the Israelis. How strong is that argument? I'm not really sure. Because the fact that Egypt is even entertaining this idea isn't really something great. Now, let alone the positions of not only Egypt, but the rest of the Arab countries too, and their lack of action to apply pressure, significant pressure, or some sort of pressure to stop the suffering of the Palestinian people. But the Egyptians clarified their positions. They said that this agreement, this proposal is coming from Israel. And when we say this proposal is coming from Israel, that means this proposal is coming from Benjamin Netanyahu. Why is Benjamin Netanyahu doing this now for the first time in writing? He's doing that because he wants to cause more problems. Benjamin Netanyahu is only interested in delaying more and more. He has Ron Dermer appointed as the head of the negotiating delegation. Ron Dermer was appointed by Netanyahu in the sole purpose of playing with the timeline and exactly by the orders of Benjamin Netanyahu, so that he can't come up to Benjamin Netanyahu saying that there is a deal and let's sign it and can I have a mandate. The previous delegation, or the heads of the previous delegation, were always complaining from the beginning of the genocide in Gaza, when there were talks, that we haven't been given a mandate to close the deal. And that's something unprecedented. In Israel, previously, the prime minister would give delegations, especially in senior positions, to reach a deal with the party or the side or the country that Israel is at war or in battle with. However, Benjamin Netanyahu this time, he hasn't given them a mandate, apart from this one time when when he accepted the temporary ceasefire in the beginning, and before the ceasefire that we had recently that Israel again broke. Israel broke the two ceasefires unilaterally, going against the agreements and understanding, including by the United States. Netanyahu is putting this now to make it impossible to reach a deal. This means that they still have time from the United States. This time limit is unknown, and Israel is using that to its advantage. There, of course, could be, and there most likely is, a deadline, by the way, for Israel, at least from the United States administration, to try and reach an understanding. However, clearly that deadline hasn't come yet, and Benjamin Netanyahu is still using it to his advantage to delay, to come up with ridiculous proposals, and to have these absurd proposals for the Palestinian resistance in writing this time. What was the response from Hamas? The response from Hamas came most clearly in the words of Sami Abu Zuhri, who is a senior figure in Hamas, of course involved in what's happening with the talks, with the mediators, with the latest developments. He said that this shouldn't even be on the table. I mean, this is something, firstly, this is the first time that Israel brought this on the table. Completely ridiculous. No, and 1 million no. We will never disarm. Plus, we don't have a mandate to disarm. We are showing utmost flexibility to reach a deal and to end the suffering, but it wouldn't be at any cost. And one of these red lines to reach a deal is having the Palestinians disarm. As a matter of fact, it's Israel having all of these hurdles facing the ceasefire agreement. It's Israel refusing to adhere to agreements that they had. It's Israel refusing to completely withdraw like they agreed. And it's Israel who's refusing to go into phase 2, confirming that there will be an end of the war. On the other hand, they are showing, again, flexibility, saying that we're willing to release a significant number of Israeli prisoners of war in different nooks during the ceasefire and any ceasefire that may happen soon. However, that will be at a cost. And that cost is, well, we need guarantees and we need reassurances that this war will be ending. So far, the United States administration is not really giving these assurances. And with the statement or press conference that was jointly held by the Qatari and Egyptian leaders in Doha, there was some frustration here from these countries. Now, this frustration is not even reaching the level required to apply some sort of pressure or backing. As a matter of fact, the Arab League, they had a meeting in Cairo. They had a gathering just before or after Donald Trump had the ridiculous proposal of expelling the Palestinian population. Then they were outright backing the Egyptian proposal of outright refusing to let any sort of deal, including the Palestinians being displaced, ethnically cleansed from Gaza, pass, standing up against it. Okay, you've done that move. Well, how about you provide some sort of reassurances, backing, some sort of pressure, some leverage to make that happen? That's the problem. The problem is you don't have that backing there, but at the same time, and the Palestinians, of course, in Gaza, left to their fate. And it's only the persistence of the Palestinian resistance that's preventing these things from happening. And there are examples in history of how this failed. In 1982, when the Palestinians were moving from Lebanon, and how Sabra and Shatila happened in Lebanon, the massacres. I guess so. Israel wants to disarm them so that they can kill everyone as and when, really. And it's not like they're going to stop the killing. You know, this illusion that Israel is selling, that if the Palestinian resistance disarms, there's going to be peace. That's an illusion. That's a lie. And we have seen that before in history. And not only that, even with the demand of Israel for the Palestinian resistance to disarm so they can have a deal, Israel isn't providing an assurance that the war will end or that they will withdraw. They're just adding that as a demand from Benjamin Netanyahu, meaning, well, that the United States is still giving Israel time. If there is a certain deadline from the American administration to Israel to have a deal, or that hasn't come yet, there is another option that, well, Donald Trump is looking to secure deals outside of the scope of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu and move on and leave Israel to it. Is that something that has a backing? Yes, it does have a backing, because the United States had direct talks with Hamas through Adam Bowler that Israel again hindered, and Donald Trump submitted to that Israeli pressure and then went back to the table with the Israelis as they did before. But the fact that the United States administration actually did make a move at one point to have direct talks with Hamas that excluded Israel to reach a deal to release some dual nationals, American Israelis, who were actively fighting in the Israeli terror army. By the way, these are not like civilians or what have you. I mean, there's another argument about being a civilian in a country with everyone armed as a reservist, many of them. But there is that prospect of the United States having deals. The problem with that is the deals that the United States will be having are going to be very fragile deals, because you're talking about the same person who withdrew from a deal, Donald Trump, although some people are estimating or assuming that his deal or his refined deal with Iran now would somehow be better than the one that they previously had with the Obama administration. At the same time, he is threatening. So no real progress in relation to the ceasefire. The Palestinian delegation returned from Cairo. There is nothing that signals that there is a breakthrough. And in the meantime, Benjamin Netanyahu is still trying to put more hurdles, have more sticks in the wheel, and try and prevent or delay for as long as possible reaching a ceasefire agreement.